Hey, what's up, YouTube? Well, I know my hair may not look great, but that's because I just got it cut this past weekend. And in case I don't make a St. Patrick's Day video, which I probably won't, this is probably going to be my St. Patrick's Day video on March 16th. I'm wearing my shamrock earrings and bracelet and everything because I probably won't make a video tomorrow. So anyway, let's get to it. First of all, my Dog Do Brownies video is 1 year old. And no, I'm not going to link it, but, you know, it's the one where I talked about the Dog Do Brownies analogy, where if there's one reference to poop, that's basically what the whole movie or cartoon or whatnot is remembered as being about. So anyway, what I'd like to talk about is how, you know, a number of things have been going on, you know, some of them pretty bad. One bad thing that happened was, I don't know how or why this happened, but it may have been the temperature change with the snow and everything. But there was this baseball, and if only I'd known it would have caused such a big problem, I would have thrown it away years ago. Well, on that shelf over there was a baseball that was supposed to be a stress relief ball. What it became was a stress-causing ball, okay? And what it was like made like a balloon with this slime in it, clear slime, and it had a stopper to hold it in. Well, somehow or another, the temperature change caused the skin of the ball to explode, and all that goo, all of a sudden I look up there and it looks like something from a horror movie. You know, this clear stuff was just dripping off the shelf like a waterfall, and it leaked all over the carpet and got on a number of things, and it really caused a lot of stress. And of course I threw it away, but I wish I'd done that years ago, had I known, you know, that it would bust open like that. So anyway, that was a catastrophe, and so I was basically looking up videos on how to get slime out of carpet, and it did work eventually. You just mix 2/3 cup of, or you mix a solution that is like 2/3 plain white vinegar and 1/3 boiling water, okay? And then eventually you keep putting it on there and it will dissolve. It is water soluble to an extent, and at least it was clear. So anyway, that was a huge problem. You know, the baseball that exploded. And we're pretty much, I think, through dealing with the aftermath, or I hope, but that was pretty bad. And the other thing that was good, you know, that I've been doing is I have this other Little Kittles. On my last video, I showed a Little Kittles boy doll that his name was Howard Biff, and I think this little guy is Bunsen Bernie. He's like a firefighter kid. And I don't know why the seller offered me a deal on this doll. I don't know how she knew I had looked at him, but I just couldn't resist with his red hair and blue eyes. He had some imperfections, so I made him look freckle-faced, and he was also nude. And so I made this little outfit out of my dad's old shirt from years ago, so it might look like a prison uniform, but at least it looks masculine, not like a little girl doll, okay? So, and of course I have my little girl Kittles right here, and the boys are the smaller ones. So there you have it, 5 little Kittles. And this was Tracy, the first one I ever had. So yeah, I've been making clothes for him. You know, just cleaning things, straightening things, and just you know, got my hair cut, which is one of the reasons I wasn't so eager to make a video, because, you know, while this is not my favorite length of hair, you know, somewhere in between this and what it was before is what I would prefer, but, you know, I'd much rather have it this way than to have her, like, cut this much off and then charge $20 or more. So, anyway, I won't have to think about that until summer. But I'm not exactly sure, you know, what all I want to talk about in this video. You know, I'm sure I have a lot of things that would be better, you know, for me to do right now than make a video. But one thing, you know, I have been thinking about, or, you know, I guess I could title this video, you know, and the reason I dress like this, by the way, is so that I could look exactly the same, or as much the same as possible, as I did 1 year ago on March 16th when I made that Dog Do Brownies video. So, just search my channel for Dog Do Brownies. I'm dressed exactly like this. So, what I want to talk about is Angelica crying on Rugrats, because I guess I talk way too much about, the poop stuff and not enough about her crying. But one thing I want to say is that, in the days when I watched the show, like the early days of me watching the show when I first discovered it, one of my favorite things to see happen in the show was Angelica crying. It was probably like, if that happened, which it used to happen a lot more in the older episodes, that was probably the best thing about the episode, was always the point at which she would cry. You search Angelica crying, and there's a lot of videos that aren't mine that you will find. But that was always my favorite part of the episode, was when she would cry. Because it was almost like, that was like the treat at the end. Like, I don't know how to explain it. That was like the best part, You would endure the annoying intro song and, everything else that would happen in the episode. But the treat, the reward for watching it would be like the end, where she would be crying. Because she'd be getting her payback, or her comeuppance, basically. And one thing I didn't like about the later seasons, of the show, one thing that did go downhill was that she basically didn't cry as much for some reason. Or none of them did, really. They didn't have as much crying in, like, season 8 and 9. And that sort of, that was something that I didn't really like. The fact that it's like they toughened up a bit. And especially her, because they wanted to focus more on Kimmy, which, like I say, she was my least favorite Rugrat character. Because, I just don't like her. Because, like I say, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. They didn't need Dill, but I feel like he didn't really change the mood or the feel of the show as much as Kimmy did. Yeah, he was there, but it didn't feel very different. You know what I'm saying? The best period was approximately, between the introduction of Dill and the introduction of Kimmy. I feel like, well, my favorite episode ever was All's Well That Pretends Well. For the simple reason that it was an episode in that, time period, and I've already talked about why I like it so much. And she does cry. And so, I never quite understood that, why they didn't have her cry as much, during, like I say, after, for sure after Paris. I mean, I get how, that can be pretty annoying, to do the crying sound as a voice actress. I mean, my voice could never take it. But, why they couldn't just, have her weeping, basically, instead. I don't quite understand. I mean, they could, maybe not have the dramatic sound effect and just have her sniffling, and have tears running down her eyes. Because that was always my favorite thing to see, was her with tears running down her face. And so, if this new version of Rugrats doesn't have a lot of crying, specifically from Angelica, I don't think I'm going to like it very much. Because I just love to see her cry. And I love to see her crying, hurting, and sad, basically. That's just, the best thing about Rugrats, was to see her crying, hurting, and sad in various ways. So yeah. And that's definitely why, well, in addition to what I said about Kimmy, the Paris movie was my least favorite, and I do not understand why. Why? Why is it everybody's favorite? The way I feel about it is the polar opposite of how other people feel. I've already talked about, the third movie and why it's my favorite, to the extent where it's basically my claim to fame. It's the only reason anybody has ever watched my channel. And why I have so many thumbs down is a mystery. But the third movie is my favorite, and I've already discussed that way too much. The Paris movie is my least favorite, and the original movie is in between, Well, most people, feel just the opposite. They feel like the Paris movie was the best, the third movie was the worst, probably because they don't like the Thornberrys, and the first movie was in between for them as well. But I just don't get that because, like I say, the Paris movie is my absolute least favorite. And part of that is also because she didn't cry. It always bothered me that, throughout the whole Paris movie, we never see Angelica in tears, unlike the first movie and the third movie. I just love to see her crying. And, that didn't happen in Paris. It happened in the first, when they thought Spike was dead. And then it happened in my favorite movie when Cynthia fell overboard. So, the Paris movie was the one where she didn't cry. And so in addition to what all else, I didn't like about it, that was big. To have to sit through a whole movie and not see Angelica crying, was kind of a big deal to me. Other people didn't notice that, but I did. The very first time I saw the movie, it's like, oh man, all these tears from Chucky, but not a single one from Angelica, and I hate that. So yeah, it's like, I didn't like the fact that she didn't cry. I love to see her cry, and if she doesn't cry, I will not like the new series very much.